Alright, we are back for another video. Hi, my name is Josh. I run Monster Mod Studio with my wife Nicole. We're an online Pokemon card business. And today we are going to be talking about the latest card show that we just vended at. And, beard. Messy today. Alright, so latest card show we were just at, headed out to Cedar Rapids in Iowa. And we've done this card show like several times. And it's always a good time. Show's really well organized and the space is really nice, so definitely like this show. All right, I would say the show started out a bit slowly and then just picked up as the day kind of went on. So yeah, that was definitely a bit of a bummer, and it's hard to gauge exactly why shows do random things or whatever, but yeah. Typically, I would say shows usually start out pretty strong and then kind of like peter out near the end. This one was a little bit different, where it just started a little slow, but then as the day went on, like picked up and whatever. So that was definitely a good thing. Never a fun time getting skunked at shows. I noticed tons of new vendors at this show, as in people that I know, people that I, number one, don't recognize, or are like just, you can tell they're like just getting started. Their stuff's a little small yet, or they were previous like card show attendees and now they've switched to vending. So that kind of leads me on a weird tangent of like anyone can vend, definitely. Like if you got a Pokemon card collection or any TCG collection of any kind, or if you have found a way to acquire TCG like related products or whatever, I mean, absolutely, you can definitely vend. There's plenty of space. I'm not worried about competition or anything like that, because I'm just not something I care to worry about. But I do kind of wonder at some point, like, are we going to be inflating the amount of vendors that are there to the point of, are we just going to have everyone be a vendor and there not going to be enough people like actually attending the show because everyone became a vendor? So just, again, not something I really worry about, but just something like I have thought about recently. Is this going to be like a reoccurring trend? Because it is easy to sell Pokemon cards right now, and what that means long term, I mean, it's easy to sell now. Will it be easy to sell forever? I'm not sure. Even just checking my local marketplace, like Facebook Marketplace, where I'm at, everyone's figured out the value of stuff, and so everyone's selling at market. There's no, I mean, if I scoured hardcore, maybe there's like a crumb of a deal or two, but getting something, below market price or even below, 90% is not impossible, but definitely just much more difficult, to the point of being a full-time job of having to hunt singles and whatnot on marketplace. So with the dawning of technology and all the collector, everyone, TCG player and all that stuff, everyone has learned that this stuff has value. And so they sell their stuff on marketplace appropriately. And yeah, so yeah, everyone can be a vendor. Everyone can sell Pokemon cards or other TCGs and whatnot. And that's stuff, yeah, seems to be coming true, at least in this area. So yeah, lots of new vendors, and which again, space for everybody. Definitely not a big deal. I did have a couple of interesting stories, I guess, at this show, and we'll kind of go from there. I did run across another vendor who was just walking the floor, and we had a nice little chat about just vending and Pokemon and the state of the market and all that kind of stuff. And he was walking the floor because he's working on just master setting, which he said he used to do in the past, but then kind of just quit because stuff was just getting outrageous. And as he's vending, and he's been vending for years, he just gotten a little disillusioned about Pokemon cards and the marketplace and all that kind of stuff, I guess. So, which I can definitely appreciate, where you just have, I mean, name your experience of just bad shows, getting verbally harassed by people, either attendees or other vendors, having to deal with scalpers and stuff, so you're competing against somebody who's just buying everything up at local retail stores and then coming to shows and just flipping it. And they have no idea what they have. They just know that it has value. They don't care about the cards. They don't care about the TCG in and of itself. They just care that if I buy this thing, I know I can flip it for 2, 3, 4x. So yeah, he just got a little disillusioned for a while, I guess. And so trying to like, I guess, respark the joy in the Pokemon hobby by picking up some master sets. So he was master setting Perfect Order because it's easy, it's available, and relatively affordable. So lots of good things there. And then Ascended Heroes, which he knows is going to be the long term, but he figured that one is like his marathon master set, while like Perfect Order is like his sprint master set. So he's got two going on, for focusing on Perfect Order because it's more easily achievable, and then Ascended Heroes, which will be just his long term, like, you know, that bone that you chew for a while. So definitely a fun little chat. Definitely kind of agreed with a lot of his experiences. We were having very similar experience as we like go along. It's pretty easy to get disillusioned with vending, and yeah, but I would say finding the joy in either vending or the Pokemon cards or the hobby or, you know, whatever. It's that, I guess it's that Maria Kondo, right? If it sparks joy. And so that's where, so yeah, that was a fun little chat. Yeah, like I said, we've done the Cedar Rapids show a number of times. So we have a number of recurring customers, I guess. And that's always fun to reconnect. Cedar Rapids doesn't happen a lot. And maybe once every month or once every other, something like that. So it's not like we hit this area super frequently, but you know, we have like a little smidgen of a following, and that's always fun. We brought new simplified Chinese boxes, since that's kind of the avenue we have decided to pivot to with the price increases on Japanese boxes. It just at some point will stop making sense to import those because, again, most 99% of our business is all at these card shows. We're working on developing content like this, which gets us out there to develop the website and stuff. And we definitely want more traffic to go to our website, which monstermousestudio.com. That's where you can pick up our stuff. Hint, hint. But yeah, everything's in person. And so we're selling all these booster boxes in person, which we've had, I would say, a good amount of success, especially for where we are in Iowa. I don't expect like a ton of, you know, stuff to fly, but a decent amount of stuff. Again, the Midwest is relatively, it's not poor, but it's blue collar. And so wages aren't, you know, astronomical here. But yeah, so we test ran more of our Chinese boxes. I know that in the past, Cedar Rapids is not big on picking up a ton of foreign sealed to rip. They seem to be okay when it comes to picking up English sealed, but I think that's a lot more investy kind of bros picking that kind of stuff up. But yeah, so our sealed stuff has never flown off our table at Cedar Rapids, which is totally fine. It's definitely much more of a singles driven area. So that's why we bring along the singles, is because, you know, we can kind of tap into both sides. But what was crazy to me is the amount of people who just don't know what any of that stuff is. I'm talking like the simplified Chinese boxes. And I know it's just me because I've had to dive headlong into this world and those product lines. But yeah, people just have no idea what this stuff is. And so even like gem pack volumes, any of them, they just have no idea what they are. So that was a little surprising to me. And so that's, again, but that's part of my role, is, I guess, as an ambassador to between the simplified Chinese boxes that are fun and affordable to rip to the denizens of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So yeah, definitely we sold some stuff, but not a ton of that stuff. So it's definitely much more singles driven at this show, which is totally fine. And yeah, so some fun stories, I guess. We at the same show months ago, we had sold a Mega Absol from Mega Base to someone, and it's her favorite card. She likes that card a lot, and she is getting it graded at PSA. And so whenever we see her, we get the fun of like, hey, did you get this card back? Because we want to know. And not like, again, she wanted to get this card from us. We did a deal, so it wasn't even a straight buy. We did, you know, a trade, so we picked up some stuff, and then whatever, either I can't remember if it was cash to me, cash to her, but we did a deal. She got the card, you know, she pre-graded it, you know, at the show, and then she, obviously submitted to PSA and is now waiting on everything. So she'll deal with like any of the upcharging and then the anxiety of whenever she gets this card back. But it's been at least, we're in May now. It's been at least 5 months that they've had this card PSA, and that's absolutely wild. But so whenever in the past when we've seen her, we asked because we want to know. We don't grade stuff. It's just not an interest that we have. We know we leave money on the table by not grading things. I don't care. I just don't have any interest in participating in that world, especially because anytime I get, for the most part, I'm in the red when it comes to PSA. But then when I hear about the money and I think about, all right, maybe, so I get into like the orange of like, all right, maybe we should look into doing this. And then there's just some new scandal, some new story, some new like whatever about from PSA. Every time I get into the orange, something happens and I go immediately back to red. They lose $25,000 with cards. They wreck a $45,000 card. Like, and I know these are anecdotal stories, but again, it's just not, the risk just doesn't feel worth it to me. So I would just rather churn and burn, sing like raw singles, just me's more direct. I don't have to rely or wait 6 months, blah, blah. Anyway, yeah, this time she came up to us and the first thing, she's like, still waiting on this Absol to come back from PSA. It's like, damn, dude, that sucks. But I mean, she thinks it'll 10. I thought it was pretty clean. So yeah, but it's fun. It's fun getting those updates. That's really the heart of what I'm trying to get at here, is that it's fun at these shows to get these little updates, knowing that you were a blip on being the catalyst between somebody and a card that they really like. And then if they're able to like to get the 10, being like, no, I'm not claiming credit on any of that, but I just happen to be the facilitator of somebody who just happened to have that card. And yeah, that's just fun. It's just fun. Again, it's the sparking joy thing. So we had somebody who was looking to, I ask whenever we're at shows, like if anyone's looking to buy, or like, they're looking to sell because we're looking to buy. Which because I was in more of the back, closer to the back of the room and in the middle, I've had people telling me then all day, like, you're like the whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm like the 37th vendor who's asked if you're trying to sell stuff. And sometimes, it's ironic, but because I was near the back, people were kind of picked over about time they like got to me. Like they had already sold basically all their stuff about time they got back to me. Definitely, it's a bummer, but anyway, yeah, I had somebody looking to sell some stuff, and the binder was just chock full of, all sorts of good like trainer galleries and stuff. And I love picking those cards up so much because they're so cool. I know they're only worth $2, $3, $4. I don't care. I know I'm basically going to make no money on any of these cards, or I'll make like $1 or like 50 cents or whatever. I don't care. They look so good, and she had so many of them that I was happy to pick them up for sure. And so I straight up was like, I'm gonna clean you. Like, if you're actually willing, I will clean you out. I will buy this whole thing. And it was like a stack of stuff, and it came out to whatever it came out of, and they were shocked, visibly, audibly shocked at how much stuff I was picking up. They're like, I didn't know this was worth so much. It's like, I'm picking up a stack of stuff. So she got, and I forget what it was. I think it was like whatever. And I, gave her because I was buying out. So they did some trade into, a few stuff. And then I paid out like over $300 or something like that, cash on top. Plus they took like 100. So I think it was like 420 is what it sort of like came out to be. So they got some trade, got some bigger cards, which was nice for them. Take all these little $2, $3, $4 cards, get some $50 cards, or get some whatever that was. And then, yeah, cash back to you, and now your binder's lighter, you got more cards that you want. And yeah, and it's fun because now like our binder now for our table will be super padded, and that was like my goal, was to try and get that pretty like built back up, because it was getting chewed up. It's pretty light, so I wanted to really like expand that guy. So definitely be able to do that now, so that's super exciting. In preparation for the next card show, we'll have just a nice fat binder with tons of like cool trainer galleries and stuff. So yeah, so that's definitely fun. And yeah, it's just, those cards are just so cool, you know what I mean? And I don't care that they're worth $4. Like, they're really cool cards, and they're fun always to have, and I never can keep them around. As soon as I get any of those in, they all disappear, which just tells you, right, is that really at the heart of everything. People are here for cool cards, and if they're affordable, like even better. And I think those trainer galleries literally fit that bill. So definitely a cool time. Definitely a fun pickup. Was able to pick up some other stuff too. Obviously, it's just I guess nothing crazy of note. Picked up an Evo Skies Umbreon, not the big one, just the full art, which I don't really see a lot of those full art like EVs from Evo Skies. So picked up some of that kind of stuff. I guess nothing super crazy. It was just really that big buy where I just bought that huge stack of stuff. It was just super fun. And I know the binder's just going to look super sick, at least for one show. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, this show we went in super light on cards or on sealed stuff and singles, because the show previously just wasn't able to get a lot of stuff coming in, just people just straight up buying stuff. And so yeah, it's hard when of course it's great when people buy, but I like the trading, because then I get more stuff and then I can kind of replace and replenish. Or if I'm able to buy stuff, that lets me again replace and replenish. But yeah, so not Cedar Rapids, but the show previously, whatever one that was, just kind of got cleaned out. So that was definitely a bummer, but it happens. So with this show, we went into a low amount of sealed product. So just kind of the way it shook out, I had like $3,000 in sealed coming in, but it was all coming in after the show. That's just super sucks. So like, oh, I have 3,000. Like, I think I went to the show with like $700 worth of sealed. It's like I got 3,000 more on the way. It'll be here on Monday, which is the day after the show, because the show was on a Sunday. And then the rest of it's now coming in. It should be here. What's today? Today's Thursday. So the rest of the seal stuff will come in on Friday. It's just a bummer of importing stuff, especially from China. Japan takes 2-3 days and they'll be there basically guaranteed. The biggest delay on Japanese stuff is just messaging the supplier because of the time difference. That's it. Like as soon as they get the money, within 2-3 days your shit shows up. But with China, it ain't like that whatsoever. So I send the money and it could be here in 2 days. It could be here in 3 weeks. Who knows? So that's frustrating for sure when you're trying to like, all right, I'm going to bring these things to this show. And it's like, yeah. Or like I bought all this stuff and, a week and a half goes by. I ask for an update, like a shipping update. Like, yeah, we're still waiting on getting like restocked on the stuff that you ordered. It's like, well, if I had known you were out of stock, I probably wouldn't have bought that stuff. Like I need to turn this over now. I don't want to wait 3 weeks. Like I just gave you $1,500. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's a ton of money. I need this stuff right now. I just had to skip 2 shows because like I hadn't had my stuff for 2 shows. So I'm just out $1,500 in capital that's just sitting there waiting because you didn't tell me you were out of stock. So yeah, anyway, joys of importing things, I guess. But what are you going to do? Nothing. Just deal with it. So now everything will roll in. And so for the upcoming show, we'll have all fresh new seal stuff. So that's super exciting. Obviously, again, just curious how that goes as we're importing more simplified Chinese stuff because, again, it's more affordable and like significantly more affordable. And the Japanese stuff just went like parabolically expensive. Yeah, so it'll be an interesting experiment to see how that goes. So, but I think there's demand for it. We'll find out. All right, how'd the rest of the show go? Solid. It wasn't like a crazy amount of whatever, but definitely solid. Definitely good to like just again connect with a lot of people who have gotten to know us over the past several months, and people who now like look for us directly over. So, yeah, definitely nice having that. And I think having just bringing more of the stuff that we couldn't bring this last show because we were waiting on just like importing and stuff. So I think making sure that we just have our stack of seal stuff for the Cedar Rapids shows in the future is just really going to be critical so that we can really be like, this is kind of the thing that we're doing. So I think there was another story of something that happened. I think my mind is going to space out on this one. It was just another fun collector-y based story of the excitement of going over, low end or just really cool looking cards or whatever. I don't know. I had a English Star Me. I traded into a Japanese Star. Well, I sold the English Star Me from Perfect Order. I then got a Japanese Star Me. I thought like, oh, cool, because I prefer the Japanese ones. The textures are sick. I'm gonna be able to like pull this one off the table for me. And nope, he disappeared too. Oh, I know what it was. Somebody, after I'd done the pickup of all those trainer galleries, a couple comes up and she's hunting trainer galleries. And I'm like, oh, well, I just picked up like a stack of them. What are you looking for? And so, I mean, I had some in the binder, but the binder was pretty cleaned out. So I'm going through the stack and she's got her list in her brain. She's got a list. I'm like, perfect. Let's get this list. Like, let's go. So she pulled out like 3 cards. They were like under $20, but it's like, that's the fun, is that we sat there. She's got her list. She's telling me, I'm sifting through cards, you know what I mean? And we're going over all these really cool $2, $3, $4 cards because these are just awesome. And she really likes the trainer galleries, and I think she's master setting them, and she's like almost done. So she picked up like 3 cards. It was like under $20, and it's like, yeah, cool. But we were there for like 10, 15, 20 minutes going over trainer galleries as I'm sifting through cards and we're working through her list. So that was fun. But there was 2 in the case that she needed, and it was like I think it was Leon's Charizard, so the one where it's like Leon and Charizard and he's like acting like a dog, like nuzzling Leon. And then another one that's like 20, that was like 23 or something like that. And so I'm like, well, she did need those. And it's like, well, I got them like right here. And it's like, yeah, I've already spent whatever on the show, like kind of over budget. So I'll just pick up these right now. I'm like, yeah, great. So they leave. I think within 10 minutes, she comes charging back. Like, and you can tell it's that determined charge where it's, when you found something cool in your brain and you think you're going to be financially responsible, but it's, as you're leaving, that thing that you want to buy is plaguing your mind. That was the determined charge she had coming back. And she's like, all right, I want those 2. Will you take $50 for those 2? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's that fun of, again, that's the sparking joy part of vending, where you get to go over these cards. No, they're not the $800 Charizard. No, it's not Ascended Barney. But I don't care. It's the fun trainer gallery cards that everybody loves, and I don't care about making money on. I care about making enough money on them, but I don't need to make $800 on this card. So, yeah. So there you go. Lots of anecdotal stories about the fun and the cool of vending shows. Lots of anecdotal stories about the joys of importing Chinese and Japanese Pokemon cards. So there you go. All right, I think that's it for now. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Again, if you want to check out our website, we just got like a big old restock of mostly Chinese Pokemon. So if you want to check those out, monstermuffstudio.com. We definitely appreciate you guys.